Hey everyone, welcome to Vendasta's weekly webinar. Today we're going to talk about how to scale your business with digital ads. My name is Thiago Neres and I'm the Product Marketing Manager for Marketing Services here at Vendasta. With me is Mike Vossen, who is our Product Growth Expert for digital ads. Mike has 8 years of experience in the digital advertising industry, and he'll talk to you about the benefits of digital ads and also give you a quick overview of the services that we offer here at Vendasta.
All right, everyone. Well, thanks for attending today's webinar. Like Thiago was mentioning, I appreciate everyone's time. I'll try to keep today's discussion pointed, but please keep in mind any questions that you might have over any of the content we're going to talk about today. Feel free to throw some questions up in the chat. I'll make sure that we save a little bit of time nearing the end of today's webinar just to kind of hash those out here, and probably useful for the group as well. So, what is a quick overview? Well, what is digital advertising? Well, digital ads to us are one of the best, most cost-effective ways for you to be able to reach that ideal audience of yours online. We like this because not only does it let you communicate with those audiences, but more often than not, those ads are going to be shown as that audience is looking for a product, a service, looking for something that you're looking to advertise for. We can make sure that we're only serving those ads when that user is actively at the point of making a purchase or leading up to the point of purchase. So again, we love digital ads just simply because of the targeting. Of course, this allows us to target, well, who's going to see that ad, when they're going to see it, whether that's day parting or time of day targeting, and then also where that ad's going to appear. You want to make sure that your brand or your client's brands are showing up in the optimal place at that perfect audience at the right time so that you're not paying more than you need to make sure that message delivers and sticks with your ideal target audience. And of course, the benefit of being able to target and track all of these things mean that all of our ad campaigns can be valuable to that local business owner because we can tie it right back to the ROI, return on investment, or ROAS, return on ad spend. So this is a huge component to digital ads. It allows them to be very measurable and quantifiable so you can learn what's working, what's not working, and you can also gain some really good insights into how to market your business or your client's business smarter moving forward. So of course, these are just a few of the many benefits of digital ads, but we thought these were the most pertinent for everyone on the line today. So of course, great for brand awareness. I can target an ad within 3 feet of anywhere on the planet. It's great for driving more sales. As we know, we're moving to an online world or a connected world. A lot of purchase decisions, either pre-purchase or during purchase, sometimes even post-purchase, are made online. So you definitely want to be communicating to those audiences while they're deciding who's going to be that provider of that good or that service. You can target a very specific audience, like I was mentioning earlier. If you want men 18 to 25 with a medium household income of, say, 65,000 or greater, that are interested in rock music and, say, fashion, we can easily target those ads to follow those users or to serve to those users because of all of the different little data points that, our team's collecting on your behalf. Of course, like we had mentioned, we measure all of those results as well. So the benefit of digital, as opposed to, maybe some other media, is that, digital is very measurable. So we can learn what's working, what's not working, and our team's job is very highly specialized in order to basically adjust where the spend's going, where the targeting is, to make sure that you're getting month over month better results, which actually leads into my next point on generating that higher ROI. Well, how do you know if the blue background ad is working better than the red background ad? If you're running, say, a billboard, or if you're looking at running some print ads, well, sometimes it's a little difficult to get a really clear understanding of how well that ad's performing against that audience group. So with digital ads, of course, A/B testing, split testing, all these kind of tools at our disposal means that we're able to, in real time, see what's performing better and what's performing worse. And then, of course, lastly, it's the ability to adapt your strategy. I like to refer to this as kind of turning on a dime, as it were. So we're able to adjust every day, every second of every day as those ads are being delivered. In the milliseconds that those pages are loading, you have not only the human side is a little tough to do in milliseconds, but the automated optimization software that we're using on any of our ad campaigns is in real time. In the milliseconds that ad is being delivered, adjusting small little, I would say, targeting and tracking on that ad campaign to make sure that your strategy is always working, or that your ad campaign is always seeking to understand how to market itself smarter and how to make sure that we're stretching those dollars for you even farther. So when it comes to understanding the different mediums, I always like to start thinking about any ad campaign in the terms of 3 general sales objectives. So are we looking for a general awareness campaign? do people understand who you are and what you do? Well, if it's awareness, we could somewhat loosely define the mediums, or loosely rather apply the mediums of display or YouTube advertising, as generally they're, I would say, relatively inexpensive. The audience data is really, really rich, and we get that quite regularly. However, moving into maybe more of an engagement objective, what makes your brand different? So why would I choose to go to Mike's shoe store versus maybe Tiago's? So that would take the form of social advertising. So Facebook, Instagram make a lot of sense there because it is a social network, as we know. And of course, YouTube advertising does a really good job of that because it's a passive ad medium. So you're going to watch a video. You don't necessarily have to read anything. You might not even have to pay full attention to it to allow that ad message to resonate with that audience. So we really like that for that reason. And lastly, of course, there is the most important piece, the one that I seem to talk to most of our partners about, is the conversion piece. So of course, I'm sure we're all fairly familiar with what a search ad looks like, whether on Google or on Bing. Search advertising is normally where we'll look when it comes to more of a conversion play. And when I say conversion, I mean, how do I buy from them? How do I give them my lead information? How do I make a purchase or take me to a point of making a purchase? So we do quite a bit of search advertising here in the room and with the team. However, it is not the only medium that we should be thinking of. I try to have all of our partners think, well, if you're doing something with awareness, say your listings, your reviews, your website, if you're doing a lot of good work with your engagement, an active social, say, platform, or you're actively out asking your clients to generate positive reviews for you, because make no mistake, that is going to pay off in the long run. Then ultimately, when we get to the conversion piece, we should be able to get you that conversion for maybe a half or a third of what you would pay if you neglected these other two areas of your online presence. And actually, we see that quite a lot. So I always try to tell partners, don't put the cart before the horse. We want to make sure we have those foundational pieces of your business, not only outside of ads, website, listings, reviews, etc., but also make sure that you're doing something for each of these funnel objectives, because make no mistake, it does have a very, very marked impact on the price you'll end up paying for each of those conversions down the line. And it's smarter long-term marketing as well. Here, I did neglect to mention search advertising, again, being predominantly the conversion piece. The reason for that is it's traditional pull-based marketing. So unlike Facebook, YouTube, and display, targeting a user based on previous browsing history, based on credit card purchases, pages liked, videos watched, etc., I'm pushing the ad to those users. I'm pushing ads at men or women, certain age range, certain interest likes or affinity categories, say. Whereas with search advertising, we consider that traditional pull-based, where someone's requesting shoe stores near me. I'm sure everyone on the line can understand the big difference between someone asking for a shoe store or someone simply being pushed ads for shoes because they were looking at some pages, say, on shoes. So really important to kind of understand how each of these ad mediums can fulfill one objective. Make no mistake, though, you could make an argument for display with conversion or using search ads for awareness. However, generally, they will fall in this kind of taxonomy. Of course, what does Vendasta do? Well, a shorter list would probably be what we don't do, it seems like these days. We're doing everything from search campaigns, so Bing, Google. This is predominantly text-based search engine results page advertising. So I want to make a big distinction here. We're not talking Google Display Network here. We're talking text-based search ads on Google or Bing. And we can have any number of, I would say, call to actions, tap to map, tap to call, app download, site link extensions, call out extensions, the list. I'll go on and on. If this interests you, please take a look at our YouTube channel, our resource center for selling search ads. We did a webinar on that a few weeks back. Display campaigns, notoriously the workhorse of the digital world. Their advent in 1994. Display gets a bad rap because the click-throughs are, frankly, pretty poor. I would say anywhere from 0.08 to 0.14% is on average or benchmark, unless you're looking at like Google Display Network, closer to about 0.30. Display, though, does an exceptionally good job of targeting ads. So display, we collect about 1 terabyte of audience data each month. We're talking like NSA levels of data that we'll then use to target those ads at those perfect audiences for you. So you cannot get better targeting than you can get on display. Facebook campaigns are a really good way to engage your audience socially and have them become your brand ambassador. So you might see this on Facebook. Of course, Instagram, now belonging to Facebook, means that we can also run our ads on Instagram as well. Facebook is a great way to leverage your existing clientele and have them do some of the marketing for you. So trying to get people to share, like, comment, or react on any ad copy extends its reach, allowing that ad to be shown to their, say, immediate following. and you get what we call organic impressions, or like an organic trickle-down effect. TractAds is kind of a newer product that we're rolling out. It's like our display campaigns. It's in-app ads as well as ads, on across multiple, I would say, websites or multiple exchanges that we buy websites through. TractAds is like the big brother of our display campaign, much bigger, much stronger, I would say. So it allows us to use GPS targeting to capture users' mobile device ID. So your cell phone, your device ID is distinct to that one phone. So your phone in your pocket, or anyone texting on it right now trying to drone my voice out, that phone can be targeted. I can collect the device ID and I can make sure I follow that phone 3 miles away, or if you go into the business. And it's really, really cool stuff there. Again, another webinar on that. I won't have time to kind of dive into it, but if that interests you, really, really cool stuff we're doing with TractAds campaigns these days. And of course, lastly, YouTube, a very, very, I would say, valuable network to be on. YouTube allows us to target video ads pre-roll through a process called TrueView. TrueView are those pre-roll videos that appear on, say, a YouTube video you're trying to watch, and you're given the ability to skip after 5 seconds of the video playing. The beauty of a TrueView ad campaign is that if a user decides to skip after that 5 seconds, you're not going to be charged for that interaction. The only time you're charged is when a user engages with the ad copy or call to action on the video, or watches the video 15 seconds more or through completion. And of course, we'll always report on how much of that video did get viewed, how much of that was totally free advertising for you and your clients. So really, really cool stuff there. Now we're going to dive a little bit deeper into each of these, I would say, mediums. Of course, we're still going to try to keep it a little high level for today's discussion, but if any of this interests you, I'm sure you're sick of hearing me say it, but we got quite a few resources on our YouTube channel, in our resource center, and of course in the marketplace descriptions for these products. But let's dive right in. Search campaigns or search advertising, sometimes referred to as PPC ads or Google AdWords. I've heard just about everything, sometimes erroneously called SEO, which it is not, or SEM, which it is. Search ads are text-based ads that load on a Google search screen or a search engine results page or on Bing. So this is the goal of a search ad, is to try to make sure that your client's ad shows up high on that list. Because as we know, on a mobile device, actually ads are the first thing you see. And if there are enough advertisers, you'll see only ads for the first loadable screen. You have to scroll down to get to the organic or unpaid results. So that's really beneficial for a lot of advertisers, knowing that the first screen one of their potential clients who are looking to make a purchase is going to search with is going to be exclusively ads. So we want to make sure that we're getting your name up there. Of course, SEO plays a really important role when it comes to any one of our clients or our partners' search ranking. SEO is predominantly, though, concerned with organic or unpaid results. So trying to get to the top of a Google search was exclusively used for search, exclusively for paid ads. But to get to the top of the unpaid ad section, you have to have great SEO. Really good long-term strategy. I'll always make the analogy of renting or owning. If you're renting, you're buying a search ad campaign. The day you stop paying for that search ad campaign, you're kicked out on the street. That's no good. SEO is like putting money into the equity of your online home, as it were, or online brand. The day you stop putting money into the SEO on your site, depending on which SEO provider you're going with, for the majority, the day you stop putting money in on SEO, you still get the benefit of that moving forward. You've just simply, it's like renovating your kitchen. You're going to be able to sell that home for a little more because your site is that much better. Of course, we're going to take care of everything as far as keyword research, bidding strategy. We'll build in everything from, broad match, narrow match, negative match, exact match. The technical side, it was not really what we're hoping to talk about today. But again, if that interests you, take a look at some of our other webinars. But know that you're paying for our team of search specialists, as well as the coordinator, who's going to be your primary point of contact. Their job is to make sure we're looking at that campaign every day, asking ourselves and our software, is this generating a better return? Are these decisions that we're making, that's founded in the data that we're getting, making a tangible impact on the ROI? Are we generating more calls or leads, etc.? And of course, through that kind of lens, we're going to use just about every Google ad extension that makes sense. So ad extensions are simply a tool added on to a text-based search ad. This could be like a tap to call, tap to map, tap to download, say, an app, or you could be looking at things like site link extensions and link to different product lines. So my men's shoes, maybe I want to link to my men's boots, my men's sandals, and my men's sneakers. So I might have some site link extensions in there. Or lastly, things like call-out extensions. These are simply for promotions. Hey, 25% off Mike's shoe sale this week. So really, really powerful way to help improve your client's performance. And interestingly enough, these days, fun fact, location extensions, or i.e. your address and NAP data, something our listing services does very well, we can now bid and achieve placement on Google Map results. So having that search for pizzerias near me, the top spot on that Google Map can now be a paid ad placement. And we're actually having a lot of success with that. This is what a typical, say, search campaign might look like. As we can see here on the right, I have an ad running with a location extension, and it's actually showing up in the search results for maternity clothes. I can see I have is that the same? Yeah, it looks like the same client is above as well. Located, at this address. Looks like we have not only site link extensions here on the right, but it looks like we also have location extension and hours. Talk about beneficial to that business, where in one quick search taking 0.62 seconds, I can get an idea on what they offer, where they're located, what their hours are, and I could even map myself there if I so chose. So we can always tell a search ad because they'll always have this green little ad next to it. And of course, we're doing just about everything under the sun with our search campaigns. It's a little bit of a high-level roll-up, just kind of wanting to let you guys know what it looks like as far as a report. This is maybe, maybe an eighth of what our total report looks like. So this is a very, very small sliver of what they might look like. But for the long and short, we're doing a really good job of keeping our costs low. You'll notice that all of our reports are always going to say client cost per click. The reason for that is because we're always keeping those in retail spend. I don't want people to know what the margins are or your end user. The goal is to try to tie it back always to what that SMB is paying with our partners. Of course, we have I would say a fairly strong click-through rate, depending on where you get your numbers from. Truth be told though, click-through rates to me aren't that big of a deal. I'm more concerned with, am I generating better leads? Am I generating more calls or bookings? Is the ROI improving? Click-through rate simply tells us how well the ads are targeted and how well they're doing at generating a click. But for most business owners, the really good stuff happens after a click. So we can see an example of that. Shifting gears slightly, we're going to talk a little bit about display campaigns. So as I was mentioning, kind of the workhorse of digital ads, these are ads that have loaded on a web page or on your mobile phone, either in a banner, big box leaderboard, tall block skyscraper, I'll prattle on for hours. The benefit of a display campaign is to be able to target that really, really precise audience by not only online actions, but I can actually target them based on offline movements. So because your phone is always connected, it's always giving its location out for the most part, it's sending information continuously. It's telling you where you're going, what are you searching for, what are you buying, all these things can be targeted. So display are perfect for raising that, not only just brand awareness, because we can buy them for like pennies on the dollar, but it's also about that targeted brand awareness. So finding all, of your, primary, secondary, or tertiary audiences that you're looking to target, I can hit each of them with a display ad, and then we can try to find where they're going if they're, say, navigating to the business. It's great for just getting those users at the top of the sales funnel. If they don't know who you are, we usually try to serve them a few display ads just to get that kind of, I would say, awareness of your business, that kind of understanding of what you do. And like I was mentioning earlier, the amount of data we collect for display is just incredible. It's just a tremendous amount of data. Get them in terabyte-sized data clusters. So a lot of the times what we'll do is run a display ad at that targeted audience and then run maybe a search campaign or a social campaign as more of like a remarketing piece, because we know display for targeting, social or search for conversion. So you'll normally hear us talking about a holistic ad campaign where we're going to build a little piece of each of these in there. But I want to make sure our partners are thinking the same way. Let's think holistically. How am I addressing each of those funnels or each of those sections of the funnels we discussed? Lastly, display, as well with TractAds that I'll speak to in a moment, you have the ability to track physical visits to that client's business, depending, right? So if it's age restrictions or sometimes something we need to be considerate of, HIPAA, so medical verticals, sometimes we have to worry a little bit about what we can and can't track. But I would say for the bulk of businesses out there, physical visitation tracking is certainly something that we can do. This is an example of what a display ad might look like. So this is a standard leaderboard here in the top right. As you can see, that's simply going to try to get a message to that user and have them engage. Very, very, very straightforward. Probably seen thousands of them at this point, I would imagine. Of course, our display ad campaigns are, I would say it's a good chunk of our ad delivery, but not, I would say the majority, maybe 20, 30% of our campaigns are display. We're still pushing, I would say, a fairly attractive click-through rate, still a little bit above benchmark. But what I really like to showcase is look at the impact of tracking, say, visitation data. So this isn't the end-all be-all. This is simply one conversion or one tracking point that we might want to build onto a report. Look at how many people clicked on an ad. This is the last month, I believe. From the 2.6 million ads that were delivered, 9 people who clicked on the ad physically went to any one of these businesses running ads. I had 1,100 people see the ad, take no action on it whatsoever, but just because it loaded in front of them, I can now follow them or at least see, are they going to convert? Have they converted after seeing the ad? Look at the benefit of running display ads and tracking, say, things like visitation data. Because if I didn't have visitation data, this number might not be enough to secure, say, month-over-month return. I wouldn't be able to keep to my nice 86% retention of our ad campaigns. But luckily, we have these other tools in our tool belt to make sure we can showcase the value of these campaigns. All right, well, switching gears a little bit to Facebook, let's call this social, because Facebook and Instagram, kind of synonymous here. We're going to use either or depending on the audiences or the type of engagement you're looking to generate. But social networks are great for basically engaging that customer or trying to find more people like your ideal customer. So as I'm sure you're all aware, we do quite a bit of work with social posting. That's a great way to retain and also to some degree engage new clients. But using Facebook or social campaigns, you can look to either find like-minded individuals that look based on some of their online actions like your ideal audience. Some of you will know this as lookalike audience targeting. But we also like to use social campaigns to build brand ambassadorship. So the goal here is to, well, hey, if I'm a shoe store, maybe I want to put a promotion on talking about, hey, are your shoes, worn out? Are you blowing out those your heels on them? Post a picture of, your crappy shoes, and you might be entered to win, say, a shoe at the end of the month, a draw for that. The amount of reach you can get from a simple promotion like that, business owners are floored by the amount of free impressions that they can generate. Just having their audiences engage, comment, react on those ads really extends the reach. And also it improves rather the conversion. I might not want to buy or click on an ad from Mike's shoe store, but I will click on something that maybe my aunt or my girlfriend or, my work colleague had shared to me or had shared on his wall. So you get better reach, better engagement. Ultimately, that's the sweet spot for us. Of course, we know Facebook is, a monolith, 2.38 billion monthly active users. Majority of those actually will be on mobile phones. So let's keep in mind, if our clients are thinking about ad campaigns, if you don't have a mobile optimized website, or if your, say, site isn't mobile responsive, it's not designed for a cell phone, let's maybe put a pin in that until we can make sure that, our foundation or where we're sending the traffic is going to be a valuable place. Of course, it can be very, very sophisticated and highly targeted. So we can look at users' educational attainment. We could look at their relationship status, any pages or topics that they're talking about or engaging with. Definitely some of the really good targeting that we can do on Facebook. We were limited slightly by that 2016 election kerfuffle in Cambridge Analytica. They did remove quite a few what's called third-party audience targeting. Don't want to get too technical in today's webinar. Long and short is we did lose a little bit of targeting, as everyone does with Facebook, but it is still a very viable medium for you to serve your ads and find those ideal target audiences. And of course, we also have the ability to build things like that lookalike audience, so finding audiences that are already engaging with your brand, and then going out and looking at everyone who looks exactly like them, maybe a woman between the ages of 35 and 55 with X and Y likes. I'm going to look for everyone who fits that build but is not yet, say, a fan of your page or is not yet engaging with your brand in any way. And I'm going to serve that user a message because based on the data, it looks like they're your, say, primary audience group. So really, really smart ways we're using Facebook and Instagram these days to try to deliver our clients messages. So of course, these could take the form of, all the ads are designed in a native format. So when I say native, all I mean is that they fit the form and the function of whatever website they reside on. So in this case, we can see that these ads look a lot like the content that you might be used to seeing. But of course, you can see here, we do have some special flair to them. We're either going to make them a video ad. See, I got a little play button down there, or a volume button rather, or we're going to try to get people to engage with a coupon. And again, that sweet spot, look at all these comments. So yikes, that's going to get you some really incredible reach. Look at that, 378,000 views. That's nuts. Facebook, of course, also allows for really, really granular reporting. So if you want to talk about how many lead forms we're generating, you want to talk about, how many website purchases in the last month, looks like about 19, how many people added items to cart or say attended an event or claimed an offer, a coupon, outbound clicks, we can really segment the targeting however you want. I would say a lot of the times you're really interested in not only the amount of impressions, but how many users did I actually hit? So while I served about 4 million impressions this last month, I only hit about 3 million users. Well, depending on the objective of the campaign, 1-to-1 ad kind of ratio to unique visitor might be quite valuable. Mind you, if your audience group is really small, you probably want to bump that ad frequency up to maybe 5 to 6 times per unique user. So just some ways that we can segment these campaigns and make them that much smarter. So as I was alluding to a little earlier in today's discussion, TractAds is like that older brother, that big, I would say it's the advanced digital display offering. So TractAds is simply display ads, like I was mentioning, either in banner or on a website, and then some really cool remarketing, which I'll get to in a moment. But it allows us to use GPS to target an ad at an audience. So this is different than geofencing, if you've heard of that in the past. Geofencing is another tactic very similar to this, where you would draw a perimeter around, say, an office building or a McDonald's, and you would want to serve ads into that McDonald's or into that office building, or to follow users as they navigated there and then left. Geofencing will use anything from GPS, of course, Bluetooth, we'll use Wi-Fi signals to try to figure out its location, or triangulation of a cell signal. The downside to that is it's somewhat imprecise. So if you've ever opened your phone in an office building or a parkade, pulled out your map, it might try to put you at one corner of the parkade, then maybe across the street briefly before it jumps back into the parkade again. Downside to using geofencing is there is a little bit of error in how that ad gets served. TractAds, fortunately, uses GPS and is accurate down to about 500 square feet, if I'm not mistaken. So very, very precise. Bunch of other benefits to TractAds as well. Another webinar, if you're interested, take a look at our YouTube channel or our resource center. It allows us to basically use what's called passive audience collection. So if you enter into a building for more than 5 minutes with your location services turned on, which more than 80% of people do, it seems, I'm going to collect that device ID without you having to do anything. Your phone can remain in your pocket the entire time, and then I'm going to be able to follow you as you leave, a little Big Brother-esque. But from the ads perspective, it's some really, really rich data that we love. And it allows us to target that perfect audience with this wide range of people, say, within a radius. In this case, probably less radius-based, probably more precise, point-to-point based targeting. You might want to use radius if you're thinking about things like, say, maybe search. Probably with some Facebook, you might look at radius. TractAds, we can do radius, but most likely we're going to draw that around your main competition or around an event or a trade show. Target everyone who's going there. Of course, customers who see these ads and interact with it will then be tracked all the way to the point of purchase at that SMB's location. And in some cases, even if they don't see the ad and interact with it, I can still give you some really good insight into how they navigated. So these ads are initially loaded as a banner or sidebar ads. So a sidebar ad would be something like a leaderboard, or big box, those kind of things. The nice thing about TractAds is as soon as that user's ad is loaded initially, you go into that McDonald's, say you leave, a small banner loads on your phone. In the ad call where that banner loads, it sends back technical information about you or about your device. And then I can remarket to you, say you drive 5 miles home, you're on your tablet or your smart TV, or you're using a Google search from your desktop computer. I can target you based on the fact that you were at that location I was tracking earlier. Even though you've driven 5 miles now, you're on a totally different device, totally different area. I can make sure that I'm serving ads to you multi-screen. So not only on the phone, when you get home, I can make sure I'm remarketing to you on your computer. So when you think about how powerful that is, multi-medium, multi-device remarketing, it really opens a lot of doors for how we're using some really smart tech behind some of these campaigns. Again, if that interests you, take a look at that webinar in our YouTube channel. Really good stuff there. As we can see here, this is an example of what it would look like. I got the auto block here. So maybe I want to track everyone going in this auto mall. And then maybe what I want to do is I want to segment my new and used sections of my lot. So in the orange and green, maybe I want to track how many people are walking onto, say, my used car section of the lot, and how many people are going into the showroom or the service station or the bathroom on the second floor. You could basically look at different ways to dissect this traffic. Whereas with radius targeting, as you can see, somewhat imprecise. You're going to get everyone around here, even though they might not be an ideal target for you. And of course, once that initial banner ad loads here at the top of this very poorly pixelated image, that's my bad again, guys, it's going to send back information on that audience. So really, really valuable data that we can then use to market smarter and more effectively for you and your clients. Of course, this is kind of a quick breakdown of what reporting might look like for a TractAds campaign. So we're going to look at not only the overall ad impression and engagement, not only just looking at how the devices are working, but we're also going to track, again, that location targeting. So how many people were in that location you would ask me to track? How many people from that location engaged? What is that click-through rate? And then lastly, how many users finally visited and what's the exact unique ad reach? So really, really valuable data that we can then use to market smarter. Do you want to know who your best competition is or who's driving the most, say, clients your way? Well, we can break it down so that you can see competition A, B, C, D. You can see who's really generating inbound leads for you. Kind of coming to the end of today's webinar, we're getting into YouTube, which is actually great. I'm under time, which is very rare. But YouTube campaigns are a really great way to, of course, reach that audience with pre-roll video ads. So unlike our other creative services where we'll build your landing page, we'll build the creative for you, included in the cost of your campaign. With a YouTube campaign, unfortunately, I don't have videographers around the world. My South African clients, unfortunately, I got nothing for you. The UK clients, similar, though I would easily take a trip there. So we won't produce the video-based ads, but if your client has some ready-to-use video, this is a really good way to engage that audience on probably one of the largest media providers out there. YouTube is a little bit, I would say, in a younger demographic, but that's slowly changing. You do see a little bit overrepresented, say 18 to 25, 25 to 35, 35 to more like 49-ish. Then you would see maybe in more legacy media based on where you are. And majority of that will be on mobile. So common theme here, everyone. Every interaction, for the most part, not every, but a good chunk of the interactions is always done on a mobile device. And of course, like we had mentioned, being that it's a TrueView campaign, if a user skips your ad after the first 5 seconds, between 5 and 15 seconds, you're not going to pay a dime for that. So that's a totally free ad impression for you. So great, free advertising. Who could get mad at that, right? And of course, if that user engages with the ad or watches it past that point, you will be charged. But I do believe our average cost per view is like 4 cents or something. It's crazy cheap. So it's a really good way to target those audiences in more of a passive way. So spas, salons, where you need kind of the aesthetics or the feel of the building. You really want to feel like you're there and you're getting relaxed, etc. That's a great way to start running YouTube campaigns to really kind of emphasize that. Of course, we've all seen this, so I won't make this too crazy, but we've seen what a TrueView ad looks like, right? Pops up, loads, runs. You can skip it, of course. A really, really valuable place to get your video content shown. And with our reporting, we're going to be able to showcase, all of that. What was the delivery? How many users saw the ad? Where did the video load? How many people actually watched it through completion? And of course, what was the average? And again, client cost per view. Our real cost per view is probably closer to 2 cents or 3 cents per view. So that's some really good cost. Downside is a lot of the times, like display ads, the attribution with the YouTube ad campaign, what we'll call attribution, sometimes missing. So you'll see someone watch a video, and then maybe it's a really strong offer, but what a user normally does is they'll open another tab, or at a later date they'll go to that website that video showcased. So unfortunately, you don't get a very nice, well, at least in our experience to date, we haven't had a really nice view to click kind of progress or path. So you kind of have to look at alternative tracking methods, which we certainly do, and we're finding that that's paying out as well. I wanted to talk briefly about some of the 3 best practices that I certainly talk to almost every day, multiple times a day. So these 3 pieces, if we learn nothing from today's discussion, this is really what I want us to start thinking about. And the best practices, as I can boil them down, are to have an offer, to not worry about a set price or how much do I have to spend to be successful. And lastly, to understand the core business of our clients or of your clients. So let's go one by one and kind of flesh these out a bit. Now, if you've taken calls with me in the past, or you've taken a look at maybe becoming an ad expert, some of the video series we did with that, you'll know that my big, I would say, talk track, whenever it comes to talking about new client advertising with us, is that there are 2 parties to any digital ad campaign's success. So what I mean by that is I can lead a horse to water, but I can't make it drink. So we know, based on the data, based on the hundreds of campaigns, the hundreds of thousands of dollars we've spent in ads, that the number 1 determinant of that campaign success will reside in the offer. The offer is supplied by the business owner, because I assure you, you don't want me making your promos or your sales. So what do I mean by that? Well, let's take an example of a realtor. Some of you might have already heard this story before. I have a realtor spending $500 and I have a realtor spending $5,000. Actually ties nicely into the second point as well. So the realtor spending $500 is saying, if you give me your name, your number, your email address, and cell phone, or what have you, I'm going to sign you up for my monthly newsletter that's going to email you the top 5 undervalued homes in your area that are not yet listed. So that client's spending $500 a month. I have another client in the exact same space or the exact same market, exact same targeting, everything's held constant. That realtor spending $5,000 is saying, I buy and sell homes in your area. Now, I know I can't speak to you guys right now, but I would imagine everyone on the line has a very, I would say, educated idea on which one of those campaigns is probably performing better. It's the $500 campaign. He's spending a fraction of what the other is, but his cost per acquisition is about $26, where the client spending $5,000 is getting a cost per acquisition probably of around $165, I think, $167 per acquisition. So it's drastic. Despite the big spend on one, a poor offer is a poor offer. Doesn't matter where they see the ad, doesn't matter where I'm serving it, how I'm targeting it. To some degree, I can get a little bit better performance depending on the network, but at the end of the day, the thing that's going to make them click is the value proposition. What am I getting? Am I getting a 20% off? Am I getting someone's time? Am I getting a special service or a promotion that I, as the audience, find valuable? What's the clear call to action? What do I want that audience to do? Do I want to have them call the business? Do I want to have them download a coupon, hit the website, and maybe look at a specific product line? A very clear call to action can sometimes, or an unclear rather call to action can sometimes kill a campaign faster than anything. And then lastly, urgency. Why do I have to do it today? So now that I have, value proposition in that realtor example, who wouldn't want to know the top 5 undervalued home in their area? New home buyers would, property developers, commercial developers might even, as well as just home buyers. They have a clear call to action. Book a time with me below through this link. Call me right now. We can set up a time for you. I'm a really busy realtor, say, and I only have, or my lead list is quite small. All I need is that lead information submitted here. And then lastly, urgency. Why do I need to do that today? Because if you don't sign up by this point, you're not going to get this month, or because you might not be able to use this offer, or for whatever reason, right? We want to build that urgency in. So that's kind of like the trinity for us. Value prop, call to action, urgency. So let's not forget that. I find that's one of the biggest mistakes that most ad campaigns that fail have really neglected to look at are those 3, I would say, points, that offer, value prop, clear call to action, and the urgency. I get this question almost every day, multiple times a day. How much do I need to spend to make my campaign a success? Know that Vendasta has already done a lot of the heavy lifting to determine what an ideal campaign spend would be. So by that, what I mean is we have order minimums for a reason. So our order minimums are about $500 for a minimum of 3 months. That's not because we just pulled that out of the air. That's because based on all of the data, based on looking at hundreds of campaigns over 3, 6, 12, 24 months, what we found was that generally across all verticals with a 3-month run at about a $500 wholesale, of course, wholesale spend or cost to the partner, $500 spend, we have around an 86% retention of our ad campaigns. And we found that that was probably about the minimum you would want to spend. Any less than that, I would say look at other alternatives to marketing, socially posting, potentially SEO, all these other things that can help. What I try to tell partners as well is that though we have an order minimum, there really is no order maximum. The budget, any budget I tell them can generate a positive result. I can get you the same results on a $500 a month spend as I can on a $5,000 a month spend. The difference is how long it takes me to get there. And that rather, I would say, straightforward. We know that if I'm getting a statistically significant amount of insight from a $10,000, say, campaign, the learning curve is like effectively halved, or almost cut in fourths. I'm able to cut that learning curve down substantially because I'm serving out so many ads. So I can learn that men 18 to 25 with an interest in X, Y, and Z are not an ideal client for us because I'm serving 10,000 ads at them in, say, a month versus 100 ads, right? Makes total sense. So simply any budget generates those positive results. I would say the more money you put into it, the faster and smarter that campaign can be, and it cuts your learning curve down so you get into that positive ROI. But ultimately, I don't like to bite off more than I can chew. If they're not tall enough to ride the ride at the $500 for 3 months spend, then I would look at other, say, alternatives to having them market themselves. But there is no budget to be able to generate that positive, I would say, or to to generate 20 leads. There's really no set price. It's really tough to say. Anyone who is promising that too, I would say, is either taking a lot of risk or maybe not as well versed in some of these mediums as they might think, because that's a pretty risky promise, let's say that. Let's talk about, lastly, understanding your clients, because I always find that this as well comes up quite often. So understanding a typical client's buying cycle, and when I say clients, I mean your SMB or your clients' audiences or potential customers, understanding their buying cycle, understanding the SMB's advertising objective, or the small to medium business, sorry, I didn't verify that earlier today. So the business owner's ad objective, the audience that they're looking to target the ads at, and the buying cycle. So this comes up. So if I had a pizzeria and a realtor, and they're asking me, well, how long should I run the campaign? Who should I target it at? And I don't know what I'm going to be tracking. Well, we're missing all three of those components. So a buying cycle, well, for a home, probably a couple months. So you don't want to sell a 3-month campaign if it takes 6 months from the point of research to buying a home. Whereas a pizzeria can probably get a campaign in a week and generate a huge return, because when you want it right away. You're not going to be too picky about it. So that's more about the typical buying cycle, kind of working backwards through my list. The audience is fleshing out who is that ideal audience. So if you could tell me who is your typical first-time buyer. So if I'm an auto shop, usually I get those crazy 16-year-olds who bang up their cars. Their first car is usually where I get my first interaction with that new client. So maybe to that, say 16 to 25 age group, we want to start serving ads about, low-cost auto repair, or that, you can get in and out in under, say, a couple hours, because that's their primary audience. Maybe their secondary audience is seniors who don't want to do oil changes anymore. It's a little too labor intensive. So that ad messaging might talk about, listen, we'll offer a seniors discount, or we'll target these ads to run, say, 6-month remarketing cycles, so that when they go in and get their oil changed, I hit them 6 months later saying, hey, it's time to get your oil changed again. So understanding that audience is a really, really, I would say, strong way for us to build a campaign that's successful. And who knows the audience best? The business owners. So we should be asking these business owners all of these questions. And then lastly, the big piece is the advertising objective. As I was mentioning earlier, clicks, impressions, click-through rates, valuable. Not that, I would say they're hollow metrics though. To me, not very valuable. I would say success of a campaign is tied to what is the business owner's objective. I want more calls. I want more names and email addresses. I want more mobile bookings. I want better awareness, more social engagement. We really need to flesh that out, because I see a lot of the time people will activate an ad campaign saying, I need to be on Facebook. Well, why? Well, because my audience is there. Well, what do you want your audience to do? I want them to see the ad and engage. It's like pulling teeth. You just got to slowly kind of flesh out, well, what do I need to deliver at the end of each month so that you, renew that ad campaign so I can keep my nice 86% retention. So that's I would say, a really strong, lead when it comes to talking to any business owners. You're showing them that I'm not just a service rep giving you, say, a report that looks really good. I'm understanding the fundamental aspects of your business, who you're looking to target, and how they make purchases with you. And I'm an integral part of your business now. And that makes you very, very sticky, as we would call it, allows you to kind of have that ongoing relationship with your clients. So to summarize, have an offer, a great offer, kick-ass offer, ideally. No set price. There is no set budget that's going to generate a certain amount of leads. There is no budget that you need to spend to make you profitable. A strong offer, a healthier budget is going to increase the odds or the chances and cut down the learning curve, but there is no guarantee there. So there is no set price, no one size fits all, right? And then lastly, having a good understanding of who our clients are is going to help all of our partners and their clients. And it'll help me too. It gives me great job security. So of course, why do we choose Vendasta? In conclusion, you guys, we have a team of experts on each platform. So you want Facebook Blueprint certified experts. So they've paid $600. They've taken, exams from Facebook where they'll actually go on webcam with someone at Facebook to watch them write the exam. Kind of real big brother there. My search strategy team, my creative team, our website team, display team. You have a team of experts that specialize per medium. And then you have your coordinator who's actually going to kind of be the quarterback. He or she will quarterback the ads and work with you to flesh out all of those little pieces. Of course, we do all the additional services, I would call them: landing page creation, call tracking, provision and placement. analytics creation. So we'll create our own version of Google Analytics so we can track web traffic on the site. Things like keyword research, lead dissemination. So passing a lead from, say, our landing page to your client. All that's included. Full reporting, I could go on and on. Of course, we have all of this special tools at our disposal. So not only do we have the expertise, but we're paying for the software, the thousands and thousands of dollars of software needed to allow us to optimize or adjust these campaigns or these ads or audiences. And, that's something that, unfortunately, though would be very valuable for a lot of our partners, you might just simply not have kind of the capital to be able to buy that kind of tech. And then lastly, it is that white labeled services. So I know a lot of partners will say, well, hey, why don't you talk to my client and get all this information yourself? Well, possible. But I would say that really that kind of eliminates the purpose of having our partners there, right? I want to make sure that you're the hero, that you're the person delivering not only a really strong ROI month over month over month, but also someone who's giving them really smart insights into how they can market their business smarter, whether it's through their legacy media, print, radio, television, et cetera, right? That makes you their marketing person. It's a much tougher to get rid of your marketing person than it is to fire a Facebook manager, say, for example. So I did want to quickly touch before we kind of open the floor to some questions. It looks like I got quite a few piling in, so that's great. Wanted to quickly touch on a promotion that we have right now, Google coupons. So any new search campaign that is run through Vendasta is going to be eligible to have up to $150 of additional search spend added on in that first month. So assuming you're in North America, US and Canada, Aussie and Brit and South African partners. But if you're in North America and you spend at least $150, we know our minimums are $500, so should be fairly straightforward. I'm actually going to add another $150 onto that first month of search performance. And that's great for you and your clients, because I'll always say the first month is the worst month. We're optimizing a lot, we're making a lot of changes, and we're learning. And that's kind of the month you really want additional budget. The last piece I did want to talk about is the fact that we also have a May promotion going on. So as of right now, until the end of May, we're going to be allowing partners with a basic subscription or greater to access our marketing services team, specifically digital ads. So myself and the team can run any campaign of your choosing without marketing services add-on. It's about $1,000 worth of value here, you guys, and it's only available until the end of May. So if that interests you at all, feel free to reach out to your point of contact with Vendasta, book some time with me, come through our Success on Demand team to learn a little bit more about it, because I'd be more than happy to manage any of these campaigns for you and your clients and show you what helps. I'll show you how we generate around, I think our average is 576%, I think, ROI right now across all of our campaigns. So we'll show you how we get that done for you. And then hopefully we can work together to get some more business. So with that said, I think I'll open the floor to any questions unless we had anything else we want to flesh out. I don't think so. Hey, no? All right. So I got one that's, any chance we'll get this PowerPoint? Love to white label this for my sales reps.
Hopefully by the middle of next week, I'm going to be sending everyone an email with this deck.
I have one from Steven. Hey, Steven. If we sell digital advertising package, is this something that we run ourselves or Vendasta runs for us on the concierge package? If we run it ourselves, what are the things we're actually doing? Like, how do we implement this for a customer? Digital ad campaigns fulfilled through Vendasta would mean that, my team is going to take over basically the build. They're going to run it out of our own ad account or MCC account. So it's all built in-house and run out of our own accounts here. So you're not going to need to run it. You're not going to need to optimize it. Really, your job will be to be that kind of client primary point of contact, to be the one, be able to kind of go through reports that we're producing for you or insights that we're generating, prove, say, the creative with your client, pass the codes that we need to track actions on the site, maybe to your client. And that's all handled by our own team. I don't believe that is no, it's not in the concierge package per se. Digital advertising is a standalone. So we're kind of like a division, we're like a company within a company, kind of like Vendasta's agency. So yeah, in that case, we'd be running it on your behalf on our own accounts. And as far as how you would implement this for a customer, I believe as a basic partner these days, I think you're able to just simply go in and select any of our digital ad products from Marketplace, add them to your store, and then under the business in question, you can activate those products between now and May 31st. After May 31st, unless you're a pro or greater with a marketing subscription add-on, I believe, you're not going to have access to activate. But those campaigns that you already activated in May can continue to run basically indefinitely. How is keyword research done? What reporting is provided? Great question, Greg. I'd strongly encourage you to take a look at our search webinar. We talk about the 4 tiers of keywords. The nutshell is we do keyword research, combination of our search specialist teams. So all they do is build search campaigns, and as well as a lot of software to figure out what keywords are, better at converting, what keywords are more broad. So shoes, what are more narrow, red Chuck Norris. Ooh, yikes, I wouldn't want those shoes. Chuck Taylor All-Stars, more of a narrow match or exact match. We'll also look at negative keywords. You don't want to be known for men's boots. So every time someone searches that, I'll make sure your ads don't show. We do branded keywords. So, Mike's shoe store, or if I want to bid on my competitors' shoe stores and take some of their business, maybe I'll go Tiago's shoe store, etc. So we do all types of keyword research: broad, narrow, exact, negative, branded, both long tail and short tail keyword. What reporting is provided? Great question. I had an example of that a little earlier in today's webinar. So take a look at that, or jump over to the other webinar on selling search ads, and it'll give you a really good overview. Long and short, it's going to be high-level metrics, followed by ad groups. So general groups for keywords: men's, women's, children's shoes, and then top performing keywords as far as clicks, impressions, click-through rate, cost, all of that. And device, fluff metrics like device, clicks by device, impressions by device. Not very valuable, but interesting enough. Oh, hey, Juliet. Nice seeing you again. Juliet asked, is display advertising effective for lead generation, or i.e. having someone fill out an inquiry form, or is it better just for brand awareness? Great question, Juliet. Can be used for lead generation, but again, as we know, where display falls short is the lack of engagement. So I think we have a 0.16% click-through rate, so a little above the industry average, not comparing to Google Display Network, of course. So you're only going to get 0.16% click-through. And of that click-through, how many of them are going to fill out, an order form or a contact us form? I would say display, you could use it in that way because you're really getting that targeted audience. But I think it is better for audience uncovery, or what I would call audience mining, figuring out who is your audience online, and it's great for brand awareness. So I would say if you're looking to have people fill out an inquiry or an order form or a lead form, social and search is probably a little bit better of a fit. But again, it's very dependent on I would say the vertical. But that's a great question. Let's think of display as finding those audiences, and they probably more likely than not won't do anything with it, but targeting them and then following them after they've seen the ad. Greg asks, how is physical visitation tracking performed / reported? Great questions, you guys. Physical visitation tracking is using your phone's GPS, using cell phone signal, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, all of those things, location services basically. And it's telling me where you're going. If you're within a certain area that I can draw on a map, it'll tell me when your phone's in that area. It'll tell me when you leave the area. So that's either a target zone where I'm serving ads, so maybe your competitors or some retail businesses, and then it'll also show me when that user took their cell phone into the business we're advertising for. So that's all done through your cell phone, through some targeting that we have. I don't know if we'll have time to really hash out the nitty-gritty on what gets passed through the data layer and goes through our data management software. Long and short, though, very, very accurate, tracking physical GPS or cell signal movement to be able to kind of track visitation. And the reporting, we'll talk, just like I mentioned earlier, that's a little earlier on in the webinar. There'll be click and view visits, and we can also break down the click or view visits by location. So how many people went to Mike's shoe store from Greg's shoe store? How many went to Mike's shoe store from John's, say, shoe store? All of that will be included. Oh, a lot of familiar faces in the chat today. Hey, Elena. Elena wants to know, did you say you keep 82% of your digital ads clients? If so, how? We're having huge issues with attribution. I get that. So, again, those top 3 best practices are going to be your best friend for retention. So we're a little bit under, I believe, 86% retention, fairly strong. The reason for that is I'm a big believer in finding the right clients and the right partners to advertise with. I'm not a huge believer in a hard sell. I'll give you the information, and if you're interested, you'll become, one of our digital ad partners. But if not, I don't like to push anyone into something they're not ready for. Same with clients. If they're not willing to spend, a certain amount over a certain period of time and really give us the runway we need, it's better off not ever selling those clients an ad campaign. And that does seem a little counterintuitive. But you have to consider, is this campaign, likely to succeed? Structured settlements, say you want, no, that's a bad example. divorce attorneys running Facebook ads. Do we think it's a smart idea to promote divorce attorneys on Facebook, a predominantly social channel? Probably not. No one wants to air out their dirty laundry. I don't think that's a great product media mix. So you got to think about, does it make sense, A, to sell the ad campaign? B, am I setting the right expectations? Do I have a strong offer that the business owner is in charge of making, right? Our partners do too much, in my opinion, on producing offers and promotions for their business owners. I don't know how to sell a house in, say, Dallas, Texas, but a realtor in Dallas, Texas probably knows a whole heck of a lot more than me. So let's make sure we're sourcing that from the clients. And also, that shared success of a campaign really helps the selling it. So I tell all of our partners, listen, I'm the eyeballs person. I will get you that perfect eyeball. I cannot make them buy from you. That's your job. And I would say through both of those lenses, making sure we have good offer and we've also established the roles and also the medium fit, we'll have some really good value with that.
Another thing that I think it's important to mention, Elena, for you especially, we have a study in our blog called Why Your Clients Churn. We created this study with lots of useful tips for agencies to help them improve retention. If it's something that you might be interested into, you can drop your email on the chat and I can send you an email with this study.
Yeah, that's a really good study, you guys. Keep in mind, we're always producing content for agencies, so partners like yourself, like ample information in there. Juliet, any plans to add LinkedIn advertising in the future? We're actually piloting that right now. I don't even know if I'm officially allowed to say we're running them, but if not, we'll be running them right away. Like, we want to make sure, I'm not pessimistic, but I try to be a realist. I really want to make sure that it works before I offer it to partners, because if I give you something that's broken, you're probably not going to advertise with me anymore, which really is not good for my job security. So I try to make sure we have a really strong offering before I offer it to partners. That should be coming out right away. Great question, though. Really good venue. So Jay asked, is there a customizable client-ready presentation available for digital advertising? It sure is, Jay. We have quite a bit of resources on our in the marketplace that talks about FAQs. It shows some examples. We have some ads decks that are white labeled that we can get you. Quite a bit of content there. But I try not to do too much presentations. That sounds awful for me, someone who only presents. I really try to have more of a discussion with my clients over what are your pain points, what's your buying cycle, audience, all those things we talked about. And then once I know more of that, I then cater a presentation to that client. Okay, I'm going to bang out all these questions rapid fire here, Jay. Are there some general stats that I can share as far as range of anticipated conversion success? No. Example for a mortgage broker, how many leads could they anticipate? No. Not trying to be blunt. I'm just trying to rip through these because I don't know what they're offering. So if your mortgage broker is maybe selling mortgages at 1% above, say, a bank's mortgage rate, well, me giving you a rough conversion number is going to really hurt us down the road because that offer's weak. He's priced out of his normal competition, and I don't usually take, I would say, responsibility for the conversion piece. Like I was saying earlier, my job is to get the eyeballs, same as yours in an ad campaign. Our job is to generate the eyeballs, generate those quality, I would say, targeted leads. Whether or not they convert is more tied to the offer, urgency, and the ability of the business to sell. So I try not to ever pitch on estimated conversion. I know a lot of people will sell ads that way. I think it opens you up to way too much possibility for error. So I try to keep away from that. Can you provide clients offer ideas? Like what have other mortgage brokers do successfully? Great question. To some degree, yes. So I can talk about how, again, tying back to those 3 points, you want to try to hammer home a value prop. We do quite a bit of mortgage brokers. So I want to talk about how if you buy a mortgage through me, on average, my clients are saving 5% on the value of that home or that mortgage over the lifetime. What is 5%? 5% on the average home sale could be as high as $50,000. Can you afford to pay $50,000 more by getting your mortgage through a bank or through some other shoddy mortgage broker versus myself? Clear value proposition, a nice, a dollar figure value prop. Listen, I'm a busy guy. I have 2 openings this month that I'm willing to meet with new clients. So book today to secure your spot because I'm not available till next month. Clear urgency, clear call to action. So I got the sweet spot right there with those 3. And now that is something that either our Success on Demand team, our marketing services, or to some degree our ad coordinators can help you with that messaging. But ideally, I like to get that from the client. You really should be getting it from the client. What is the general markup average over wholesale in the industry? I would say really across the board, Jay, most partners mark it up anywhere. So our wholesale rates, they'll mark it up anywhere from maybe 10% to 25%, Try not to mark it up too much, because the goal here is long-term retention. I'm not trying to get you rich overnight. I'm trying to make sure that you have a steady base of business that's coming in every month that allows you to then go out and try new or alternative marketing, SEO, websites, etc. I'm like a casino. I might lose a few clients here or there, but my goal is to keep people in their seats and spending. That's my long-term goal. So I would kind of think of when you're selling an ad campaign to, you're not trying to get rich quick here. You're trying to retain business, showcase value, so you build your own pedigree or your own validity with that business owner, so you can then layer on other products. But great question. Jay asked, for the current promotion until May 31st for basic subscribers, are there any additional costs outside of ad spend and digital ad setup? No. Great question, Jay. There are no additional costs to activating an ad campaign other than the $150 setup fee that we use to build everything, creative, keywords, etc. And the 25% is the stock management, I would say, of an ad campaign. But depending on the spend, we might be able to do something better for you. But I would say majority partners pay 25% of the monthly spend. Those are the only two costs that you're going to incur with an ad campaign with us up until the end of May 31st, of course. Jay asks, how do you help a client decide the difference between how do you help a client decide between the different campaign types to get started with digital advertising for the first time? Strongly encourage anyone who's interested in learning more about how to conceptualize an ad campaign, go through our YouTube channel and watch Becoming an Ad Expert Level 1. I'm still amazed at how few views it has when so many clients ask me the same thing. How do I generate an ad campaign? What should I be looking at? What mediums are useful? With this vertical, what should I be thinking of? All of that's fleshed out and, ad nauseum almost through that YouTube channel with Becoming an Ad Expert Level 1 and 2. So that's going to give you a really good understanding of, based on the objective, based on the buying cycle, the client, the vertical, what should you be building? What should you be thinking of? What questions should you ask? And it'll also tell you a little bit about how we run campaigns. Jay asks, are landing pages single page, or can they be also more of a sales funnel style page? So our landing pages are a single page. We have the ability to make a very light funnel. Funnels are typically multiple pages and remarketing on each page. In our case, the stock landing page is going to be a single serving page with multiple conversion points. And we can track those conversion points, how many people submitted a form, how many people called your business. But it's not necessarily, unless specifically asked, not necessarily going to tie to a specific remarketing campaign, nor will it lead to other pages. It's a single serving page. But great question. I get that a lot too. Some good questions in here. Joseph. Hey, Joseph. Nice to see you again. Do you use UTM tracking? Yes, we do. And can a client see that in their dashboard? So in their ads dashboard, Joseph, no, but in their analytics, yes. So they could look through Source Medium and they'll see all of the UTM traffic that we're driving to them. Just for everyone's knowledge, UTM, or Urchin Transport Module, basically means it's like the digital equivalent of someone entering your site and shouting, I'm here because I saw a print ad, or I'm here because I clicked on a Facebook ad. It's basically the digital equivalent of that. The traffic self-identifies as it steps onto the site, as it were, where it's coming from and from what campaign. It's an additional form of tracking. And yes, Joseph, that is on every piece of ads that we're serving out. All our URLs are UTM coded. Great question. Gregory asks, what about e-commerce tracking, ROI tracking for online sales? Also, what about call tracking? And how are both reported back for advertising spend? Great question, Greg. We can track ROI on e-commerce sites fairly easy because the e-commerce, you're actually following that user to the point of purchase. That's some really easy tracking that we can do. Pretty technical, but it's easy. Call tracking is totally included. We'll provision and give you the call tracking code. You're not paying extra for that. We'll also include call recording and classification on our reports. How are both reported back for advertising spend? A lot of the times you tell me what's the average value of a sale on an inbound call. So an auto dealer, $33,000 value of a sale last year in the States was like the average vehicle price. If I know that auto dealer closes 23% of inbound calls, I'm going to take 23% of $33,000 on average to use for my ROI tracking. With e-commerce, it's going to be down to the cent. Downside to e-commerce is that you live by the numbers, you die by the numbers. If I generate a positive ROI because I'm tracking everyone to the point of purchase, great. Campaign's going to produce and we're going to continue to get it. Downside to e-commerce, especially e-commerce startups, is they'll have no sales and they'll try to generate everything through their e-commerce business. And if I don't produce a positive ROI in the first month or two, a lot of the times then they're saying, hey, listen, I'm going to try something else. I don't blame them. It's just a little, we're down to the cent at that point. Extremely, I would say, tight to the ROI. So we can certainly do it, is the long and short, but sometimes it can hurt you a little more than it can help. Jay asks, are all communications/interactions happening between me and the client, or will a Vendasta rep be involved as well? So our team has no interaction with your end users whatsoever. The goal for our team is to make you the ad expert, to give you the reports, the insights month over month, have those uploaded on the account on your behalf, flesh out all of the creative proofing, code placement through you. Because if we're going direct to the client, I would argue there's not much of a reason to have the local salesperson because we're going direct. And as you'll know, Vendasta doesn't go direct to clients. So we work exclusively through you or your sales team to get any insight about the campaign, the creative, the landing pages, etc. So it looks like that's all the questions, everyone. I really appreciate your time today. If you have any questions, of course, feel free to reach out to our Success on Demand team, book some time with me, or stay tuned because we'll be having a few more webinars in the future. As well, we'll make sure that this webinar is up on our YouTube channel. Probably sometime tomorrow, it sounds like. But other than that, that's all from me. I really appreciate your time, you guys, and great questions. I wish more of our partners asked these kind of questions because it shows that you're really thinking about how this might work for you. So thank you for your time. Want to say goodbye?
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, everyone. Just a quick heads up, before you go, don't forget to follow Vendasta on social media to learn more about our software updates and also some digital marketing tips. And I see you next time. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
See you guys.